What's going on, guys, and welcome to another video. Hopefully the first part of the video helps you remove your gauge cluster in your E39. What I'm going to do as the next step is to actually send out my gauge cluster to a place called Fixels, and I'll put in the information in the description box below. It's 300 bucks to fix the pixels, which is a little bit steep, but it's a fully permanent solution, and a lot of guys I know with these cars have that done. You can do it yourself, but from what I've read on the forums, it's a very, very tedious, long process that I really don't think I'm skilled enough to do. It's going to take at least like 4 hours. I mean, maybe I could be way off, but the pixel issue I'm having, I'm sending it out to the place called Fixels. So all you have to do, contact them below. That's how you remove it. That's really all I have to say about this part of the video. Obviously, reinstallation is pretty much the same. And I did read online, which I had a question. I'm not sure if it's answered that much, but I actually had to search pretty hard for it. If you put in the key and turn it to at least the position 1, or you start the car or whatever, you may get an SRS light after you put in the gauge cluster after it's been fixed, because obviously the car gets very upset if you were to like turn it on without the cluster, just like if you unplug the seat, turn it on, and then you'll get an airbag light. Same kind of concept. So that is what I learned. I could be wrong on that, but definitely be careful. If it's a car that you're driving every day, definitely keep that in mind. So that is a tip for me. All you need is a size T10 screwdriver, or anything that you can fit in a screwdriver, wrench, or whatever you happen to have, and then obviously a little bit, just some pry tools, some little plastic pry tools. So that's all you really need. You also need a little patience. I will tell you, the parts that screw in for the bracket that holds the gauge cluster in are old BMW plastic, and actually the parts where the screws hold it in, one of them cracked. So be very, very careful that the plastic that's 17, 18, 19 years old is brittle. One of them cracked, the rest of it looks okay, so I'm not going to do anything with that. It's going to be nice and tight in there, so not really a big deal, but it's easy to get frustrated when you're trying to pull something out gently. Definitely just be careful about the old brittle plastic in the BMW. So all you have to do, send out your gauge cluster, wait, and then we're going to flash back to getting the gauge cluster back and installing it in my car. Alright guys, roughly a week later, my voice is destroyed. I was actually in SEMA this past week and had a blast, but the cluster is back. That's why I sent it out. I sent it out to Paul at Fixels. Obviously, you guys can see, just put it in the same exact way that you took it out. There's 2 screws holding the cluster, 3 holding in the panel, and then a couple on each side beneath the trim. It's actually pretty straightforward. You just have to be able to finagle your way out and in. If you lower the steering wheel, it makes a big difference. So now it's time to actually at least turn the ignition key in the first or second position, just to make sure that the cluster is good. I don't really know what to expect. I don't think there's any other steps involved here, but we're gonna go ahead and do that and see what happens. All right, so I did notice if you just like click this button, obviously all of the pixels work now, but the odometer is at 0. So I don't know if that's something that will change when I turn the car on, but I'm hoping it does. All right. Well, it looks like it did actually reset, or not reset, but it actually calibrated properly. 132,000 miles, guys. I actually didn't know the exact mileage on the car because I couldn't read it. But it looks like everything is reading properly. 80 degrees outside. The fasten seatbelt thing works as well. And then obviously, everything in the cluster looks good. I had them keep the stock backlit colors for the gauges. Some guys like to go white or they go brighter or whatever they happen to do. I didn't want to change it up. I thought that with these cars, you know, although the white is kind of nice, I just didn't really have an issue. I kind of liked the way that the car is set up, so that's why I left that. Then obviously we have our little oil level or oil interval changer thing, which I've never used because I don't think the Fixels actually fully worked on that thing either. So I'll have to reset it next time I do an oil change on the car. But so far everything's good. The lights are working, and that's great. The Fixels are good. Alright guys, so I'm going to wrap the video up here. Link in the description on the company I use, as I mentioned. It's called Fixels, and you can actually pick what you want. If you want the white gauges, you want to just do the Fixels, or you want to mate a different cluster with your car or something like that. I think they can handle those items as well. So that's all I have to say here. Not a lot of heavy lifting on my end, just have to pay the man and send out the cluster and then get it back roughly a week later. So very, very good turnaround time. Definitely recommend it, at least so far, and it's fully warranted by him, so that's awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. See you guys next time.